Hi folks, hey, Roland Martin here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Hey, let's talk about the great year of 2021. Well, for some people, 2021 might not have been a great year, but actually for me, it was a pretty good year. You know, I know there's been a lot of COVID going around, a lot of people getting sick. However, my health's been good. I did get COVID a whole year and a half ago. I got over it, but this year I'm doing my exercises. I've lost some weight. My doctor, I get a regular concierge doctor, and he gives me all sorts of blood tests and everything. And so my health is better than it's normally is. My weight's good, and I'm doing some workouts, and so actually I'm pretty good shape. But unfortunately, lost some really good people. Aaron Martin's on the pro circuit. A whole bunch of my friends have passed away. Several COVID people, but personally, our family kind of got through it pretty good. But anyway, you know, starting off last year, a funny thing happened. Scott, my son, had qualified for the Elite Series. He had fished the qualifying tournaments in the Opens and stuff the year before, and so now he's made the Elite. And so he says, "Dad, why don't you join me on the Elite circuit?" So I go to B.A.S., talk to them, and sure enough, they say, "Hey, we'll welcome them back. You got the legendary catergory. You can come back as a legendary angler," and that's great. So I go right to Johnny Morris. I go right to the Bass Pro Shop. I say, hey, put back on the table, you know, that nice offer we had a couple years ago where they were going to sponsor me again to go back on the Elite circuit. Well, unfortunately, because of COVID, budgets were frozen, money was tight. I went to Yamamoto, I went to all these other people. I couldn't get enough money to make it work. Because what you don't want to do on these big tournament circuits is you don't want to spend your own money and spend like $100,000 in entry fee and travel expenses and not have any sponsorship money. You can't do that. You can't make enough money to make it really work. So I said to Scott, "Scott, hey, as much as I want to fish the Elite Series with you, as much as I'd like to qualify again for the Bassmaster Classic," and by the way, Scott fished the year and made the Bassmaster Classic. So the good thing is he made the Bassmaster Classic, and I'll be there to watch that. But I didn't have the money, and I didn't have the time and the resources to make it happen. So what I did, here's the neat thing. Started making turkey calls again. This is it. And you know, this is the old Neil Cost call that Neil Cost had made a call, and I know I've gone over this a lot. This is about a 40-year-old call. Anyway, Neil, this is worth a lot of money. I replicate that and make a, and I talk and I write on the paddle just exactly where the wood comes from. For example, acacia out of my yard, butternut out of Johnny Morris's farm in Missouri. I make an exquisite call, and I sell them on as well for like $200. But anyway, so that puts the money back on the table. See, now I saved $100,000 not fishing the Elite Series, and now I made thousands of dollars selling turkey calls. And the other thing I started doing, it was really kind of cool, is I stepped up my guide operation. I started taking a lot of people guiding, particularly on headwaters. Now, and I fished the Kenansville, and I fished the Garcia, and I'll fish Okeechobee on occasion, but really, to be honest with you, I'm fishing the best lakes I can. And Okeechobee is not fishing as good as it was, and it's not fishing as good as headwaters. So the headwaters is really a top deal. So I'm making thousands of dollars guiding and having a lot of fun on headwaters. Okay, so you add all that up, the turkey calls, the extra guiding, my television show, I got a good sponsorship. My YouTube numbers are up. I got my YouTube, I'm up 153,000 in the YouTube, so I'm making money there. Actually, financially, I'm better off this year, I think, than I've been in years and years and years. So I'm healthy and financially stable, and so it's been a good year. So that part of it. Let's talk about the fishing. You know, the fishing is the whole key to my existence. I mean, sure, I can make a turkey call and all, but if it weren't for my fishing, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. And I'm a pro fisherman. I've set records of fishing. So starting off in the spring, I had the first little part of the year was the spawn. And you know, here in Florida, let me explain the spawn and what happens. You start in March, April, May, all these months, even February, there's a big spawn going on. And what I started doing, I started taking guide trips doing it. My old famous devil horse. I take this old devil horse, look at this thing. It's so cool. I take the devil horse, put it on, say, a 20-pound monofilament, and I have a rod just to show you one of my rods. Here's a rod series that we came out with this year. This is that Pro Series, and it's one that I helped design. And it's the favorite 7 foot 1 inch medium heavy action with the 8-to-1 ratio, nice Solace reel, 50-pound braid. Now I just happen to run 50-pound braid a lot. I don't run 50-pound braid. That happens to be a chatterbait, so that's why it's 50-pound braid. But on the Devil's Horse, I like 20-pound monofilament because it doesn't sink real fast like a fluorocarbon. It casts real good. It's just a perfect complement. I like the stretch. I like the 20-pound deal. So that's one thing I started doing. The second thing that I really capitalize on, and by the way, I'm taking people out and they're getting their personal best. I mean, that's a big deal. And just talking about personal best, well, not every trip I take that people get their personal best, but most of the trips that I take out, someone in the boat gets their personal best. Hopefully they haven't caught a fish over, say, 10 pounds, but occasionally they've caught a 10-pound fish. And I don't often get a personal best there, but I have caught some 10-pounders this year, and we'll talk about that too. Okay, the second great big lure that I'm using right now, this is that hardtail grub. Boy, this spring when they were spawning, I'd find little holes in the hydrilla, and I'd cast this same rod. I'd use a 50-pound braid again, and I'd throw this hardtail grub on a big 7/0 hook, and I'd come to these hydrilla holes, and just as I'd come to them, I'd just kind of stop and just watch the line as it sinked down. It might be a potential spawning area. Okay, the spawn really went good. I had some really good, exciting guide trips. I did some good videos this year. My YouTube channel's on fire with all the big fish that I'm catching on headwaters. Well, then, what I started doing was I started doing something a little different. Come May and June, I started doing some night fishing. And we had a really good time in May and June. I take these big buzz baits, and I also use the big B.A.S.S spinnerbait, the Mega Strike buzz bait. I use the Mega Strike a lot. I happen to use this double buzz. It's just one. It was this Booyah double buzz that I happened to find. And I was making a cast the other day not the other day, but the other month in the spring, just June I think it was. And bam, a 10-pound 8-ounce bass hit it at night. This is a big deal. And then I took Barry Maynard, my good friend from Decatur, Alabama. We caught a bunch of 8-pounders. Then I took Jerry Brousseau. Again, we caught a bunch of 7- and 8-pounders. So night fishing was a big deal this year. I really kind of started to explore night fishing and try to figure out what the best time to fish it was. I made several YouTubes, and my night fishing game was pretty strong. Okay, so my year went pretty good with the night fishing as well. Of course, then you saw me do some big heavy-duty flippings. You know, I'm a power fisherman. You don't see me do much finesse stuff. You don't see me taking little bitty fluky deals a whole lot. You don't see me taking spinning rods a whole lot, even though I'm using spinning rods, some say, for my shiner fishing. And I use spinning rods even for the Cinco. But for the most part, I'm a power fisherman. And you see me with a 7.5 foot flipping stick. And I'm flipping in those hyacinth bats. I'm fishing in those reeds. I'm fishing in those big islands of hydrilla and little patches. And sure enough, heck, I went this year. It's funny. I had a guide trip. And I told this guide party, he says, I really want to know how to pitch and flip. So I pulled over, there was a little patch of hyacinths, and I took an 1.5 ounce weight, this isn't it. I took an 1.5 ounce weight, and I said, okay, now what you do, I'm gonna take this 1.5 ounce weight, I'm gonna throw it about 3 or 4 feet back into this hyacinths, I'm gonna jig it through there, and I'm watching the line, I'm gonna get to the bottom, jig it 3 or 4 times. I said, okay, now I'm gonna see this little point right there, and on the second time that I threw in there, it's a guide party. I threw in there. I said, "No!" Oh, the line jerked and pow! Hey, this is what I caught. Look at this for a second. Look at that. There's an 11. That one I'm holding is almost 11 pounds. And the one in my guide party, who he finally caught a big one himself, it's like 9 pounds. It's also a monster fish. So not only did I catch a big fish myself, but I'm showing my guide parties how to catch them, and I'm consequently. They're catching big fish as well. So that was his biggest fish and his personal best, by the way. So anyway, the next little thing I did, you know what the best was? Starting this fall, I'm telling you what the best deal was. You might not know this, but shiners. I tell you, I have perfected shiner fishing. And I do something in my shiner fishing that's brand new to the whole world of shiner fishing. nobody in their right mind goes out and catches their own bait and then not charge for them. All the guides that always charge for bait, okay, I don't charge for bait. I go out and catch my own shiners with a net. I've mastered cast netting. I use the 3-load technique. You see me on several videos. I can throw a perfect net with a 10-foot net. And I get all the shiners I need in about 2 or 3 throws because I chum up. Every day I go out there, and as I go out that morning, say I have a guide trip that day, I have a few in the live well whose shiners already caught from the day before. And I have, say, 5 or 6 dozen ready to go. And that's normal complement is 5 or 6 dozen for the whole day for most people. But I'm just using 5 or 6 dozen in the first hour or so because I'm chumming with them. I'm letting them swim all over the place. I put 5 or 6 rods out. That's kind of novel in itself because nobody really chums with bait. But then I throw the chum in the water as I go out, and I take my big 10-foot cast net, and bam, I catch another 10, 15, 20 dozen shiners. That's $300, $400, $500 worth of shiners. Free. I'm not charging for them. I really get the net and the art of cast netting down pat, and the chumming is just perfect. And I've checked with all the legal deals with the lake, and it's perfectly legal what I'm doing. I put them in my live well, I put them in my big shiner tank. This is my special deal, okay? This is some of the stuff that makes my shiner fishing work. First of all, I'm running them on pure oxygen, even in my live well. I mean, I have an aerated live well in my boat, but I can carry twice as many shiners in my live well by using this special system. I use oxygen plus the aeration that's in the live well, but this oxygen now I can use twice as many. Shiner fishing is alive and well, and it's the best thing going right now for catching big bass. If you want to come down to Florida, hey, a shiner fishing trip is good. There's all kind of guides to book you with. You can have a good time. I'm available, maybe. I'm also doing other shows. I'm doing television shows. I'm doing things for Bass Pro Shop, so I'm not always available. But I do a little guiding on the side as well. And again, I can be contacted at judym@fishingwithrolandmartin.com. Both my guiding and my turkey calling, all part of that same email address. That's judym@fishingwithrolandmartin.com. Anyway, this has been a great year. I hope 2022's is good. I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise, catching a lot of big bass. Hey, folks, it can't be better. Life is good. We'll see you again soon, and thanks for watching.